China.
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 China. China.
So welcome back to the channel. In today's video, discussing whether China and Hong Kong are now the stomping grounds for crypto adoption. We're going to take a look at some charts and some information coming out from the East here in this video. If you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Starting off here with some Bitcoin based price action. So this is on a weekly time frame and the chart looks pretty damn good in all honesty. We have tapped this kind of 25.2 region on a few occasions. Even over the last few days, we've been pushing up into the 25s. This has capped price previously on the weekly, and so a rejection from here wouldn't be too much of a surprise at this point, and then we're starting to look down a little bit. But if we do bust on through this area in the next few days to week, then we're looking towards this 26k region. And then I would feel like a flip of this resistance into a new support really starts to tee us up for some bigger moves coming later Q1 and Q2. This is the 4-hourly chart, and as you can see from this mapped off on the blue line at the bottom around 24,500-ish. This is a kind of line in the sand for a momentum pivot. If we start to lose this line, we're going to start trending a bit lower. And so on the short-term time horizons there, if you are day trading this is kind of an area where maybe you'd want to cut some of your alt positions. Of course, not financial advice, just eyeing up some of the areas of interest on this chart. But on the longer term time horizon, we're talking multiple days to weeks. Bitcoin is still in a bullish posturing and we're kind of expecting higher prices. This off the back of bullish narratives coming from the regions of China and primarily Hong Kong here. Some big news has dropped over the last 24 hours. So crypto in Hong Kong getting a soft backing from Beijing. So there's reports coming out that China's liaison officers have been attending crypto events in Hong Kong, nice picture there, and actually starting to have a favorable outlook on crypto assets more widely. So some stakeholders think that this can be seen as an endorsement of Hong Kong's push to become a crypto hub, with the special administrative region of China using its separate legal system and markets to be a testing ground, much in the same way as Hong Kong was for China in its first test of open markets in the 20th century. There's a statement here from Nick Chan, a National People's Congress member. He states, as long as one doesn't violate the bottom line to not threaten financial stability in China, Hong Kong is free to explore its own pursuit under one country, two systems. So this is very much interesting rhetoric coming from this region of the world, as we're seeing the Westerners, UK, but primarily over in the USA, having more of a clampdown, regulatory setbacks coming for crypto companies. You're seeing that the East may be a willing participant here to pick up the pieces in the crypto markets and provide a lot more regulatory clarity for investors in this region to pursue more crypto asset allocations. So the SFC, that is the Securities and Futures Commission in China, has just concluded a multi-year consultation process that will see exchanges being allowed to serve professional investors defined as individuals with a net worth over $1 million on June the 1st. So it seems that June the 1st is a line in the sand for investors via Hong Kong to get allocation into the crypto space. So this comes coupled with some interesting data that TED Talks Macro posted just the other day, China ramping up cash injections to prevent funding stress. So as we know, China has reopened. They had very harsh lockdowns, and now the supply chains are starting to open up again and people are given more freedoms. The economy starts up very slowly, as we experienced in the West. Post-pandemic, we required a lot of stimulus to get people out spending again and to get the markets moving. China is just taking this course, but many years later. So TED states China's central bank performed its single biggest injection of liquidity on Friday, this big red candle up here. Many billions of yuan being pumped into the system. Apparently they're easing up the loans they're offering. And also apparently we're starting to see rising house prices in China as well. And that is said to be one of the main signs of recovery in that economy. If they're starting to pump cash in, people primarily go into property in China. That is the way they work. So within this thread of analysis, TED points out that the Chinese growth rate is now outpacing that of the USA. We're also seeing some easing in Japan as well. So as he states here, whilst most analysts are focused on how the Fed tightening will reprice risk assets this cycle, they're failing to consider the scale of easing in the East. Japan, the fourth largest central bank, and China are injecting liquidity into global markets, hence the uptick here on the major central bank total asset balance sheet here. Someone in the replies posted this, which I think shows things even more clearly. You're seeing a total polar opposite effect taking place. You have Western economies, the euro and the US, QT, trying to tighten, trying to pull money out of the system, hence these are trending downwards. But as you can see, Japan, this kind of green line down here, trending up nice and steadily. China, full parabolic at this moment in time. So this could well be the explainer of why the markets are starting to go up here. People in the East are able to allocate more capital to risk on assets, even whilst the West is seemingly going through major austerity, people's savings are down, but this overall is very much a global marketplace. So we have to look at the whole pie, not just our individual views. Maybe those are US centric or European centric. So drop me a comment down below. Is this the reason why we're seeing more pumps across the crypto markets? So this was the press release from the SFC, the Securities and Futures Commission over in China. It says under a new license regime taking effect on the 1st of June, all centralized virtual asset trading platforms carrying on business in Hong Kong or actively marketing to Hong Kong investors will need to be licensed by the SFC. So some regulatory clarity coming in here. It says regulatory requirements for virtual asset trading platforms are based on the regulatory requirements of the existing regime under the Securities and Futures Ordinance and comparable to those for licensed security brokers and automated trading venues. So down within this article, I'll leave it down below. You can check out note 2 down there and read through what this means. In summary, it seems that you can't offer earn products on these exchanges that are going to be approved and that they're going after large cap ticket items only. So this isn't for all altcoins. This will be for primarily Bitcoin, ETH, and maybe a select few others, which I'll show you in the next slide. Then on this part here, it says that as part of the consultations, they're going to discuss whether they allow platforms to actually serve retail investors or not, and the measures to be implemented to ensure robust investor protection measures. So initially, this is for kind of accredited investors, those with over $1 million in net assets. But there's obviously a potentiality here for discussions around a wider retail participation with this. So if that were to change to a green light for all retail participants, obviously that would be rather crazy and would be a full 180 from the previous stance of China banning crypto to a lot of people being able to get access to the markets via the region of Hong Kong. There's also a citing of some of the blowups within this documentation, i.e. FTX. And so it seems they want to be very stringent on how they actually allow investors to participate in these markets. So yesterday you may have noticed that the Huobi exchange token went up quite substantially, as I believe they are based in Hong Kong. And there is a statement in here around those who are licensed, looking to actually get the green light for a slice of this action come June 1st to start applying for the licenses with the SFC here. So there could be some major winners in the centralized exchange business over in the East. So if you dive through the documentation in that previous section, which I'll leave down below, there is like a 61-page document. One of the highlights here is that the eligible large cap virtual assets refer to virtual assets which are included in at least 2 acceptable indices, such as issued by at least 2 independent index providers. And an acceptable index is an index which has a clearly defined objective to measure the performance of the largest virtual assets. So within this, DB then goes on to put together a little bit of a graph showing you some of the biggest indexes here that they believe could be on the green list and the assets that are contained within these. The most frequently included assets, of course, number 1 and number 2, with 5 inclusions apiece, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So pretty clear that this news around Hong Kong coming June the 1st will be bullish Bitcoin and ETH. Then you can look through this list, the likes of Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Polkadot, Solana, Cardano, AVAX, Polygon, and Chainlink also contained within this, but not clear as to whether these coins would be given the go-ahead or not. So this is a new narrative in 2023, bid coming from the East, but it seems to be backing up the bullshit here, and we're seeing government-led processes to allow crypto adoption via Hong Kong. Drop me a comment down below what you think of this, but I do see this as a long-term bullish for the crypto assets, and this could well be a strong enough narrative to continue the uptrend here, favoring the bulls going into that June 1st, 2023 event. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, smash the like button, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
China. China, 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 China.
Look at that. Isn't that nice? China, China, China.
China